welcome to Geek and Eat. I'm your host, Silas Lindenstein. Every week we explore a geekdom and we create a food based off of that. This week we have the wonderful Game of Thrones, and with me is the wonderful Geoff Lott.
Hi, Silas.
Thanks for being here. Geoff, I told you we were doing Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You didn't know what we were doing until we got here. It's called Shireen Shish Kabobs. Yeah. For those
Sensitive topic.
For those of you that know the show, it's Shireen is the daughter of
Stannis
Baratheon, the one true king,
Yep.
as he claims. And he burns his daughter. Sacrifices at the stake. And so to honor that, some shish kebabs, we're going to use lamb. Lamb is
Tender.
It's a tender young cow.
Cow?
Sheep.
Some people call cows sheep.
It's a sheep. So the marinade, I marinated the lamb here in, it should, overnight is ideal. This has been about here 4 hours.
Now why couldn't you do it overnight?
Well,
because winter is coming.
Because winter's
and the weather
coming. That's funny.
Did not.
Yeah, in Seattle we had a big storm and I couldn't get the lamb in time to start this, so we did a bridge one. So it won't just be as tasty.
Kill a lamb this morning.
Chopped our ingredients of baby portobello mushrooms, bell peppers, red onions. Going in our marinade, we have red wine, orange juice, soy sauce, lemonade, rosemary, red onion, marjoram, salt, pepper, chopped lamb. Marinate for 4 hours or overnight.
I like to put the red onion on in bigger chunks. Sometimes people do the
one by one.
Yeah, and I think it falls off a lot.
From the very first episode, totally freaked me out. I hadn't read the books, and that's why I decided once I got to the end of season 4, I read the last 3 books because realizing where he was going and what he wanted to do.
He says he knows how it all ends.
Yeah.
Do you believe him?
Yeah, I think I think he knows how it ends, and that was one of his big sticking points with the director and the writer, was that you can start going your own way, but try and stay true to the source, and then where do you guys think it ends? And that's where he was finally like, okay, you can play this. Because they were pretty close on it. And everyone has their own theories, and whatever, keep them distracted.
Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Is he dead?
I think he's dead.
You think he's dead?
Doesn't mean he's not coming back, though. That's what I'm thinking.
Boy, that's kind of covering your bases there.
Yeah, it is.
He's dead, but he's in.
I think here's what I think. If you watch it, his eyes turn color at the end. They turn purple. And I've watched it a few times, and his eyes turned purple right as he was fading out and the blood's flowing. So there's something about that. They had mentioned earlier in season 5, like, there's something going on at the end. Why would they stick on his face for so long? Somebody kept saying, there's something going on. There must be something in there. So we watched it again. And then I noticed like his eyes turn a color. I don't think he's going to be a White Walker, but there was something said early in season 5 about, once you kill a White Walker, you can be immortal or you can't be killed. I think they have a point, but I don't think they have a burning it because it's fictional. Mm-hmm. It exists in a world that doesn't exist. I understand, but there's no duty of him to bring that to the forefront and say, what is Game of Thrones doing to address misogyny? He doesn't owe that to anybody because it's a literary act. It's not, he's not trying to change social mores. It also looks poorly upon homosexual people with maladies, people with disfigurement, all that stuff. It looks badly on incest.
There's too much on it.
Reason.
Too many people harp on incest.
But at the same time, that's kind of the beauty of why it's so awful.
Right.
It's such a... You don't get attached to anybody who has any strength or morals because they're dumb. Oh, jeez, I just lost his name. The guy from Dorne. The guy who died in Trial by Combat.
Oberyn Martell.
Yeah. I know, that's the word. It's like... That's the problem, is that it doesn't... I had that same...
He wasn't even on that long.
He wasn't.
He was...
and that's why I knew, like, oh, he's gonna die.
Because you liked him, or because he was...
Because I liked him. Because he was a likable guy.
I feel like I get suckered every time. Like, I think here's a new character that we're gonna see for a while. And then, so I was like, oh, I can see it. Oh, that's cool. They're gonna... Well, I thought they had to save the guy, Bram.
Yeah, you can't let him die.
Like, they're not gonna...
Although that really sets the tone too. The fact of in the first episode. So what happened? Well, the queen and her brother were doing it, and then they pushed a little kid out a window. Wow.
I did not start watching Game of Thrones until this year. Like,
Wow.
Yeah, because I don't know. For me, there was part of me was like, I did actually think like Lord of the Rings. Oh, it's another thing with a bunch of like in the Middle Ages. I mean, I didn't have any connection to it. What? There is. I wasn't being represented racially.
Okay, half of you should be happy that there's some.
Well, I could watch anything for that. But then, and so then I got convinced. Well, someone gave me their HBO Go Pass. And
That's how you got convinced.
I'm an easy man. You basically give me money and I'll start doing stuff. Everyone was posting. I hate spoilers so much. I didn't want to be put through that of things getting spoiled.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I don't have HBO. I can watch it on these other things, but if I don't, I won't get caught up.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like gonna be mad because I'll find out somebody died. And then they gave me that pass. Stark. Everything. I always saw everything of him. Everything was always a post of brace yourself.
Yeah.
So I figured he was a main character the entire series.
Yeah.
And then so when they kill him, I'm like,
yeah.
wait, they cut his head off.
They
like
just-
you can't.
There's no coming back. You start realizing really early it's not about politics at all. It's constantly a show of power.
Was Joffrey the character you hated the most?
Oh, how could you not hate that guy? And part of you does, like, you have to hate him because he's so awful, and the other part, you're like, he's inbred, you
gotta hate an inbred.
you gotta hate him.
How could you like an inbred person?
For crying out loud. Even a little inbred. So there's part of you where he's like, he's completely a product of his environment, and he's supposed to be like 13 or 14, he's a nut. So there's not a lot that he brings to the table other than being completely unlikable. He represents all the worst parts of a patriarchy and all the worst parts of a monarchy where there's nothing anybody can do about it. His wife doesn't do anything about it. He doesn't have any idea of how to treat a queen. He doesn't have any idea of how
people?
Yeah, people in general. Just a horrible human being.
I don't know why I'm blanking on people's names. That's the bad thing about watching it all at once, is I couldn't remember. I didn't know who the hell anybody was, because I was like, wait, okay, that one's a Stark.
Well,
What's
even like the lineage that he goes through in all his books it's got to be close to 50 or 60 pages.
Yeah.
So at what point are you just like, oh yeah, I gotta create my own race and society, and I gotta just make them do whatever I want? You tell me that guy doesn't get a boner when he's typing stuff out like, let's introduce a new family in a different part of the world that we've never referred to briefly, and see what I can do with them. Make somebody fall in love with one of them and hate two of them.
Okay, what's the little guy's name?
Joffrey?
No.
Bran? Stark?
Bran. No. The Hobbit.
Sam?
No, the
Frodo? Bilbo?
Tyrion.
Tyrion?
Tyrion.
Oh, he's not a hobbit.
I know.
That guy's
Do you think he was supposed to die? Do you think he was so popular they kept him, or does he? I guess he must live in the book, right?
Well, the fact, like, you talk about fighting out of the hole, literally.
Yeah.
Because it's constantly heaped upon his head that his birth killed their beloved mother. His dad, Tywin, just constantly held that over his head, and the fact that his brother, Jaime, who's, he's kind of an anti-hero where you're like, I really like him, and at the same time, every time he gets around his sister, he's just even more of a monster. Then he becomes humanized by the fact that he loses a hand.
Yeah.
So then he's a little more vulnerable, and even he sees it, and he doesn't like being in that position.
His first step is being a Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. Being one worth it. It's the only ones who live. Do you have to lose a hand if you are a Jedi?
I think there's a
trend.
We'll see when the next movie comes out.
So I think also with Tyrion, the fact that guy, he's kept himself alive. No one's kept that guy alive. No one, like, Jaime tried to plead his case, but that's not working. So that guy just, he has kept himself alive. And it's always by the skin of his teeth, So he's constantly just navigating everything step by step. And that's why I think eventually, going into like a bigger theory, it will eventually be him as the king at the end of this. But then it just has to come back like who would be the prime? Like there's nobody near his age.
Do you like the fact like they're doing Mother of Dragons? Like I think it's so weird the fact that there's this whole other storyline going on that never interacts with the main one.
Well, they're so far apart geographically.
Right. And I was like, I don't know if I've ever seen that in any sort of show.
Yeah.
Where you have this whole separate story going on that doesn't interact with There's no phone
Yeah.
calls or whatever.
Unless it's a Stephen King thing where it's like you have to have that ominous building
Yeah.
towards where's this all going to end up.
Because we're at, what, 5 seasons?
Yeah, we're in season 5. So now you've got the wildlings coming down from the north. You have all this stuff starting to just really fall apart in Westeros. And then you have her off in the east who's really starting... Now she's back around Khal Drogo's people. So all of a sudden the Dothraki are going to start coming, like, this is all starting to kind of come to the middle of somewhere. So
Yeah.
where's it going to be? I mean, maybe she ends up being Tyrion's bride. God. I still think the Red Wedding was the most, because I hadn't read the book. But my wife had read all the books, and she was just telling me, like, we're going to get to the Red Wedding, you have to just expect this. I mean, but it just, the way it just keeps going, and it's just more brutal, and it's not something that they gloss over.
Yeah.
It's constantly going after the fact that, like, now he's dead, and he's dying, and they're not done killing him yet, and they're
Yeah.
just going to keep stabbing him, and then it's, now it's Lady Stark's turn. And I think that, because it also represents a huge power suck.
Yeah.
His wife is gone. The
Yeah.
child is gone.
I
the
thought-
bloodline stops.
I was totally surprised, even though I had heard of a blood wedding, so I knew, but actually I didn't think it would be that brutal. And I was like, as soon as I saw the doors lock, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is it. This is the one they're talking about. But the biggest shock to me was actually Joffrey's death, because we just had that big killing. I didn't expect another
Yeah.
thing, so that was, I for the first time did not expect him to die. Hands are full of lamb juice, so are you ready to get this cooked?
Yeah, it seems like a good next step.
Okay. Okay, and now we are back with a delicious plate of Shireen Shish Kabobs.
It smells really good.
Okay, so did a nice, left it on the grill, about 6 minutes on each side. Seemed to work well for us. And let me,
There's a nice, I got a nice
Just,
caramelization of it.
I like that. A little sugar, got a little flamey out there. Started burning up.
Pretty smoky.
Pretty smoky, that's good. I like this. I like
Just say the neighbors outside on their patio went inside.
so juicy. See right now.
So juicy.
Okay, let's get a. And it's really fresh. Could have done it. So it's cold. Oh my god.
That's good.
Actually, I do like this.
I love hearing people eat.
Okay, so Shireen Shish Kabobs. The recipe will be online at our site.
Worth it. Worth your time.
Yeah, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, everything.
And lamb that's a vegetarian meat, right?
Basically,
No.
it's a vegan friendly meat, so it's really it's a dish for everybody.
Can't wait to see those emails.
This has been Geoff Lott with me, Silas Lindenstein. Thanks for watching.